afternoon, everybody, and welcome to You Choose Sundays. You know what? It's so nice today. Welcome, Maesha Hadden.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here today.
I'm so happy to have you. So today's guest is my old friend, Maesha Hadden. She is the operations manager for Wayne County Senior Services. And we're going to talk all about that today and what it means and how it means and how you get to where you are today and what you're doing. So first, before I forget, because I always do, let me put up this good banner. And again, welcome, Maesha.
Thank you so much, Ayan, for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm really glad to have you here. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Why don't you tell us, because I'm going to go back and tell people how we know each other, but I want you to start out by telling us what is Wayne County Senior Services and what do you do?
Okay. Basically, Wayne County Senior Services is the program that operates the Meals on Wheels program for Western Wayne County and downriver. We provide Meals on Wheels, the liquid nutrition program, and our congregate program. And we are currently serving approximately 2,500 clients, home delivered meals, and about 200 congregate clients. They do a grab and go type pickup, and there's approximately 400 liquid nutrition clients that we service on a weekly basis right now.
Wow, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. So that's a lot of folks just in those numbers that you gave me really quickly. That tells me that there is a need because there's food scarcity, and especially in the senior community. So thank you for what you do, and we're going to go into what you do, but every time I have a guest on, I tell people how I know my guests because I'll have people say, how do you choose who you're going to have on? I don't know. I just do. And so you are one of my oldest friends. We met in junior high when we were going to John F. Kennedy Middle School in Ecorse, Michigan. And I just remember after we graduated and you graduated from somewhere else, like we didn't go to the same high school for that long, but you were one of the first people I remember who like came out and you were doing your thing and you were working for the railroad and and then you started working for Wayne County Senior Services. So tell me how long you've been working for them.
I've been with Wayne County now for 20 years.
So 20 years.
20, yes.
20 years. So why don't you tell me, because you said that this is Wayne County Senior Services is sort of under the umbrella of Meals on Wheels.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about why Meals on Wheels is so important, especially right now during the pandemic, and sort of what you're seeing?
I think our program is so important right now because we are still able to touch on those clients that are some of the most nutritionally scarce right now. The pandemic created this environment of people in isolation. And the one thing that we didn't want to happen with our seniors, because they were already high nutritional risk, is that we didn't want them to have any additional isolation. We needed to make sure that we didn't stop services. And it was more important now than ever to make sure that we continue the program that was providing that contact to our seniors. And so it is, it's really important that we make sure that we maintain a contact with our people, because some of them, they don't see anybody except for when our volunteers bring in a meal to them. Yeah. And that is huge, that we are able to maintain some type of presence in our senior citizens' lives.
So you said that you have been able to do this through the pandemic. Did services ever have to stop for a time, or were you able to continue this during the pandemic?
We made a really hard pivot during the pandemic. Pre-pandemic, we were delivering meals Monday through Friday. So we were seeing our homebound clients once a week. Our volunteers were able to see them Monday through Friday. We were delivering a hot meal every day. So they had a hot, nutritionally balanced meal prepared for them, utilizing our local local kitchen that we do, Valley Food Services, and they were able to see them. Well, unfortunately, because of this COVID crisis, we had to make the transition where we wanted to protect our senior safety, we wanted to protect our volunteer safety, the site manager safety, our employee safety, and we made the decision that we were going to deliver once a week. So the clients now, they get meals once a week on Mondays. We deliver them a frozen 5-pack of meals every Monday. So the volunteer does see them every week. So to make sure that they do have that safety net to check on them. And those seniors that are not homebound, initially everybody with the COVID crisis, when we were on the lockdown orders, everybody was homebound, basically. So we had a huge influx of clients coming on because everybody had become homebound at that point. But now that a lot of the restrictions have been lifted, we do have those who aren't homebound that are able to come to our nutrition sites, pick up a box, and take that home to eat.
Okay. Tell me again, because you gave me a number. How many folks are you serving right now? And in what areas are you serving for the Wayne County Senior Services?
So Wayne County Senior Services, we provide meals to downriver and the western suburbs of western communities of Wayne County. So there's 34 communities that we service. And Wayne County is divided into 2 areas. So DAAA, which is the Detroit Area Agency on Aging, services those residents that live and reside in Detroit and Highland Park, Hamtramck, and the Grosse Pointes. We provide service to the western Wayne County and downriver communities. So there's about 34 communities that we service, and we are providing home delivered meals to about 2,300 clients a day.
Wow, a day?
Weekly. So just that one delivery on Monday. So there's about 2,300 homebound clients, and there's 200 congregate clients that actually come to the site to pick up.
Okay.
And in addition to that, is our liquid nutrition program. So those are individuals who are not able to ingest solid foods or have difficulty ingesting solid foods. There's about 400 of those individuals.
So there's about 400 folks, because this really stands out to me. There are about 400 folks who have to have a certain kind of liquid nutrition. So they're already vulnerable, right? Because they're dealing with food scarcity. But in addition to that, they have to have certain types of food, is what I hear you saying.
Yes, because they're a lot of them are either unable or having difficulty maintaining or getting an adequate amount of nutrition. So through their physician's approval, we're able to provide Ensure for them. So they're able to provide a liquid nutrition based diet. That way they can get their nutritional intake at least once a day, since they're not able to ingest normal foods like the rest of us. They're some of our most vulnerable. There are more of our cancer patients, our persons who have digestive issues, and a number of other medical conditions that make them eligible for that program.
And I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I don't think that people understand that. So I should say that you and I serve, we're both part of the Senior Alliance, also the advisory council. And so we're on these meetings together, and I hear you talking about how very important, how not just important, how critical it is for seniors in our area to have these services. And one of the things that I didn't know, that I didn't talk to you about before, but I know you'll be able to speak to, is that you also provide halal meals.
Yes, we do. We have.
Let me just point out, because I know that we have people who are watching from all over who aren't even from Michigan. I thank you all for giving us your time today. Make sure you drop in the comments and let us know where you are, where you're watching from. But I think that's very important, because people who are not from this area, they don't know that we have like one of the largest populations of Arab Americans in this area, and we have a large Muslim population also. And so the meals need to be prepared in a different way, not just for that population, but for anyone who would prefer to have their meals halal. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Our halal meal program, we're currently serving about 70 clients right now each day for halal. So they also had to pivot a little bit through the through the COVID crisis. But we're able to provide with the halal program culturally appropriate meals for those that are of the Muslim faith. So primarily right now, because Dearborn Heights are predominantly Muslim communities, the program is focused in the Dearborn Heights communities, but we are able to source with a local restaurant. We've partnered with one of the local restaurants in Dearborn that provide hot meals on twice a week. They get a hot meal, 3 hot meals delivered on Mondays and 2 hot meals delivered on Thursdays for the halal program. And they are prepared halal and culturally appropriate for those, and nutritionally balanced.
And anybody who knows me and knows the kind of work that I do know that I am like, yes, thank you. Because that diversity and inclusion piece right there, you aren't leaving someone out.
Right.
You thought about folks who could not have traditional meals, who needed liquid nutrition. And then you also thought about those culturally prepared meals that is so important. So let me ask you this. First of all, let me put up a question really quickly. How many of you not only have heard of Meals on Wheels, but how many of you have actually volunteered for Meals on Wheels? Because I want you to talk a second about how important that is, having that volunteer base.
Our volunteers are like the lifeblood of our program. If it weren't for our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do the service that we do. I mean, we have a wonderful, dedicated staff of employees, but our volunteers are the eyes and ears of our program. They see and touch on our clients every visit. So it is all of our meals. We rely on delivery by our volunteers. So every home delivered meal is delivered by a volunteer to that senior. So they are the eyes and ears. They're the ones that see that client, that deliver that meal, that deliver that smile, that deliver that reassurance, and that moment of somebody checking in on them to let them know that they are still somebody and they're important just as much as anybody else. So our volunteers are extremely important to our program, and we always look for people who have just a few hours out of their day that they can contribute time to this worthy cause to help us, whether it be loading boxes of meals in the car, delivering it to the homebound client, whatever it is that they can do, we appreciate, because giving of time is so significant in making sure that this program continues to operate.
Yeah. And if I can just add to that, I think that visit, not just the food, is also food for the soul for them. Because, we forget about our elders. We do. As a community, as a whole, we say how much we cherish seniors, but man, we forget about them. And so I think that part of the program is so important, because when you have someone that is delivering, I'm sure they get to know their clients.
Oh, they definitely do. That the volunteers become family to them.
Yes.
They love their volunteers, the letters of appreciation. And it's like, if they can't be home for some odd reason, for a doctor's appointment or anything, please tell my volunteer, let them know I'm okay. Let them know I'm okay. And our seniors absolutely adore the volunteers. They become, even though they initially start out as just bringing a meal, it's like, okay, let me check on Miss so-and-so, Miss Betty, or whomever they're checking on that day, just to make sure that they're okay. And if that person is not okay, they're the first ones to let us know, hey, we need to call the police. We need to do a well-being check. We need to make sure that they are okay.
And I think that part is so important too. As the volunteer, you see things that maybe sometimes the family and neighbors don't see. And our elders are proud. We know that. So how can you help people in the community? What are some signs? What are some things that we should be looking for to recognize, okay, Mrs. Jackson down the street, or, Mr. Bob around the corner, I think that he might need a little help?
Some things that I've recognized or had people that they've pointed out is just kind of like the person's becoming more withdrawn and more private, and it's like they don't want that help. They don't seem like they're coming out. And it's like, okay, even though I know we're coming out of the winter season and coming into spring, but your neighbors, you've been around your family, and when a person isn't coming out or doesn't want to talk, or they're just more in holding within, and they're becoming withdrawn from themselves, from everybody. And I think that's a huge red flag to look out to somebody's well-being and making sure it's like, okay, you need to check on them, make sure they're okay. And we all become busy with our own lives, but we also need to make sure that, like, oh, I used to see Mr. Smith on the porch all the time, and it's like I don't see him anymore. Like, let's go down the street and check on him and see what's going on. Or if they're, as far as nutritionally, if they're you notice, like, okay, they're holding on to more things as far as food or anything like that, and they're kind of spreading things out over the course of time, and it's like, wait a minute, maybe they could benefit from some additional nutritional services, and that's where we step in.
So it takes the community, right, being cognizant of that, and noticing that maybe in your neighbors, and in the people that you love, even, because sometimes, like we said, our elders won't tell us that they need that support.
Yes.
So the other thing that we talked about in the last meeting that we were in together, that stood out to me, was those fresh baked goodies.
Oh.
I know that's important, because I think that sometimes people think Meals on Wheels, not very good, not very nutritious. I'd rather go down to McDonald's and grab, like a Happy Meal. But you have specific guidelines.
Yes.
They are nutritious.
Yes,
they are meant to sustain our elders, who need those vitamins and those nutrients so that they can be healthy. But everybody likes a little fresh baked treat. So is that new? Is that something new?
It's not anything new. So basically, you touched on our program is nutritional based. So everything's based on the recommended daily intake based on the USDA, the My Plate guidelines. So we want to make sure that everybody, one, is getting a nutritionally balanced meal. So we go through strict menu development process to make sure everybody, the meals not only are, one, nutritionally balanced, but they're tasty. And so pre-pandemic, I always say pre and current and post-pandemic, pre-pandemic, we really take pride, and we still take pride in our product, is that we are able to prepare everything locally in one of our kitchens, and all the menus go through approval through our management team, our leadership team, through the Senior Alliance. So it is signed off on, but we want to make sure we combine actual meals that are pleasing to the eye, pleasing to the palate, and that includes the fresh baked goodies. Sometimes we can't stay too many sweets, but we'll try to give a treat every now and then. But the fresh milk, the apples, and with the pandemic, we did have to make that change. So we did have to go through, and in order to still provide a nutritionally balanced meal, we pivoted and went through a 5-pack of frozen meals. So they are still a box of 5-pack frozen meals that are still nutritionally balanced. And those are delivered once a week on Mondays.
Okay.
Volunteers. But what we are able to do right now, we're in the process of shifting back to a multi-delivery week. So starting this April 1st, which is really exciting, we're starting to incorporate a second day of deliveries. And in this delivery, they'll still be getting frozen meals, but the second, so on Mondays, they'll get a 3-pack of frozens, which are the traditional meals that they've been accustomed to for this last year. But on Thursdays, they're going to get it'll be 2 frozen meals, but they're locally prepared, similar to what we were able to do before. Some of the things that they didn't have or weren't getting so well, one of the menus is stuffed cabbage and potatoes and things like that.
I was just going to get into this menu. I used to work at a senior community, and because of the nature of how that community was acquired, we still had residents who were high needs. Again, I don't like to say low income. I like to say high needs. And so I remember one resident in particular would talk about chicken teriyaki. And I was like, what? Because that's not what I'm eating. So tell us about, and you just said stuffed cabbage.
Yes.
So first of all, I want to ask you, do you know yet when you plan on going back to the more traditional style of meals? I know why you're doing frozen meals right now.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you can talk about what those traditional meals were like.
Oh, they were.
What was on the menu at times? Because I know she was about that chicken teriyaki. We just talked about some stuffed cabbage. I know that we had one resident who has since passed, but he used to always talk about how he wanted liver and onions. Like, I don't know if he ever got them, but he was like, he wanted them.
Some of the requests we can accommodate, some of them I wish we could.
Right?
But I know there's some meals, and I will love the day that we're able to get back to the more traditional, and it's just coming with time and safety, and when we can make sure we can do it and incorporate it in a safe manner. So that's just based on the guidance from the state and from our funding agency and from the county. But as far as like the menus, we try to plan out the menu. The menus are kind of developed way in advance. So some of the favorites used to be like the crab salad, the crab macaroni salad. The breaded rib patties, the chicken, things like that. And it's like, okay, so we're trying to get with the incorporation of the second day, even though the meal is frozen, we're trying to incorporate some of the meals that they actually really, really were their favorite meals, and some of the things that they didn't get in this last round of the frozen meals from what they were getting from the tradition meals.
Yeah. Okay. So if I could go back for a second, I want to put up this question again about if you have volunteered for Meals on Wheels, I want to hear from you. If you're open to volunteering for Meals on Wheels, I want to hear from you, because you said something before we went live that really stood out to me. And you talked about that shift in how many volunteers you used to have and how many you have now because of the pandemic. So I wondered if you could talk to us a little bit about the critical need for volunteers, and how you all are taking this very seriously, because you know that not just your seniors' safety is paramount, but also, your volunteers and your team members, your staff. So what is all of that looking like right now?
Right now, and I will touch on prior to the pandemic, we were delivering, like I said, the 5-day operation. So we were Monday through Friday. So we had volunteers pretty much that covered the home delivered aspect of it, whether it was delivering meals, packing meals out in the kitchen for the congregate, or serving meals in the congregate. So at one point in time, we had over 900 registered volunteers for our program.
Wow. Wait a minute. And that was just for Wayne County, Detroit?
That was Wayne County. That was just Wayne County Senior Services. That was our program for Western Wayne County and Downriver. So we have...
Not even counting Detroit then. That was just Western Wayne County.
Just Western Wayne County. So we have, just to kind of put it in a little bit of perspective, we have about 40 nutrition sites that we operate throughout Western Wayne County. Mm-hmm. So those 40 nutrition sites deliver, that's where all the meals from our kitchen were packed, delivered, and staged and delivered to the communities.
Okay.
And so pre-pandemic, there were about 900 registered volunteers that committed anywhere from 1 day to 5 days, 1 hour to 6 hours a week. It just depended on what their schedule was available to them and where they could be. I mean, we operate Monday, our sites pretty much operate Monday through Friday. We're operating Monday through Friday between 8 and 1. Because of the pandemic and the shift that I spoke of, we changed with the Monday operation. So due to the pandemic, we're no longer allowed to be able to pack the hot meals out at the site. So because the boxes are coming in frozen, everything is staged. We utilize about 300 volunteers now on a weekly basis, which will be increasing because we'll need those volunteers that were volunteering. So we're touching back to the volunteers that were able to previous volunteer for us to add back to that Thursday delivery that's coming up. And just to supplement that, there always is a need for more volunteers. And we take our volunteer safety very seriously with this pandemic. We provide them with the appropriate PPE at the sites. So we're making sure that they have the face mask, that they have the gloves, that they're the sanitizing wipes. So when they're out delivering, there isn't a question about their safety. And we want to make sure that when they're delivering the meals, there's certain safety practices and protocols in place for our client's safety and their safety as well.
Nice. So I know that I'll probably have some people who are watching either on Facebook or on LinkedIn, and they're probably thinking to themselves like, yes, I would want to volunteer. Let me call up my bestie. Let's go volunteer together. But I know that there's some guidelines around partnering and grouping. So can you talk about that for a second?
Right now we don't have we with the pandemic, so we're encouraging that if there is more than one person, that they're from the same household. So we don't have any group activities available at this time because of the pandemic, what's going on. So just partnerships with them to deliver the meals if they're from the same household, husband and wife that have a time that want to volunteer, mom and daughter, and as long as they're in the same household, we don't have a problem with it. But they have to be registered. All our volunteers are complete a registration and go through a background check. So they have to be registered, background checked prior to beginning any type of service. So we also want to make sure we take our client safety very seriously.
I'm so glad that you pointed out the background check too, because I think that sometimes that's a deterrent for people. They say like, well, I don't know who's going to be coming to my house or dropping off a meal, and I don't want the wrong person. So I'm so glad that you pointed that out. And I have a comment that I want to put up. Judy says, I used to deliver when my girls were little. The people love to see their little faces. I bet.
So thank you. So happy. Yes, they love seeing the children. They love seeing everybody. And I was like I said, when we get the feedback back from our clients, they love. It's like, please tell my volunteer thank you. Please, I want to know. Make sure Bob knows I'm okay, or whoever my volunteers. Make sure they love seeing their volunteers, and it just becomes a big giant family for them.
Yes. And I just know because in a previous life, when I worked somewhere else, I used to volunteer around Christmas time to drop off these care packages. And we became very close with someone that we volunteered and gave, some things that she needed during the Christmas season, and she's since passed. But my kids got to know her and started calling her Grandma Ann, and she lived in our community. And so I know that seniors love little faces.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you can do anything intergenerational, it's just like, a breath of fresh air for everybody. So that's really good. So I wanted to ask you, I just want to pivot here for a second. You have worked with Wayne County Senior Services. Again, tell me for how long?
20 years.
20 years.
20 years.
So I'm not working anywhere that I don't like for 20 years. I ain't working nowhere I don't like probably for 2 months. Right now, right? So tell me, that tells me this, that it is personally fulfilling and rewarding to you.
It is.
So I want to hear about how you got in this position and really what drives you and what keeps you in this position.
And the funny thing is, it was never my intention to start out with senior services. The very funny thing is, I didn't know what Meals on Wheels was prior to working for Wayne County. I hired in with Wayne County as a typist, and I've been very fortunate throughout my career that I have spent my entire career in the Department of Senior Services. So this has become like my life's work. I have promoted throughout the department, and it's just every story, every senior, every person that I talk to, it never gets tiring. It never gets boring. It's always somebody that, how can I help them? And knowing that what we do on a daily basis helps somebody, and it truly makes a difference in their lives, and to know that we touch somebody's life personally, whether it's directly, indirectly, and to know that helps keep me going. And that's how I encourage and pass along my words of encouragement for my team and my staff. And it's just something that I've enjoyed.
Yeah. And I can tell that you enjoy it. The way that we talk about it, when we've been in meetings together, again, because we are in a different group together, a couple different groups, really. You were on Wayne County Fan the other day, the Senior Alliance. I know that about you.
Yes.
I know that it's the mission and the heart behind what you're doing, which is why you've been doing it for so long. So I didn't ask you this ahead of time, but I wondered, do you have a certain scenario or maybe a letter or a client that stands out for you?
They all do in some aspects or ways. And I was like, there's one, just some of the stories are happy. And I'm like, I can remember clients that they called every day, whether it was because they just didn't remember that their meal was coming, but I would talk to them every day just to reassure them that, okay, it's coming. Are you sure it's coming? I'm like, yes, it's coming. Your meal will be there, but you told me 10 minutes ago it wasn't going to be here. And the person would just call quite a few times and She stands out in my mind every time. And I'm like, okay, I made sure no matter how many times she called, I took her call with
No.
enthusiasm. And it was like, okay, and just gave her that reassurance that, yes, they're going to be there. And then when the driver shows up, they're like, it's here. And okay, that's all.
She didn't forget to call you and tell you that part too. Like, okay, girl, it showed up. Thank you.
You did tell me the truth. It's going to be there. I'm like, yes, we're going to make sure.
I love that. So I'm going to put up this comment from Mark. Thank you, Mark, for commenting. He says, I love to see that you worked your way from the ground up. I love that too, because I think because you went through the ranks, so to speak, you became part of that family. And so what I know about you, something that I knew about you even in middle school, is that if you're going to do it, you're going to do it well.
Yes.
And otherwise you're just not going to do it. And I can tell just when you said you took this one client's call with enthusiasm, no matter how many times she called, I know that that's just how you are. I know that that's just how you are. So I know that Wayne County Senior Services is very, very lucky, very fortunate to have you. And I know that your clients, Wayne County, downriver, we are blessed to have you really serving our seniors, because what I also know is that if you had somebody on your team who did not align with the mission and values, they wouldn't be on your team very long. So I appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
Such good care of our elders. So another thing I want to ask you is, because I know this kind of work is, you love it, but it's also very emotional, the kind of work that you do. You get used to seeing your clients, and then sometimes, your clients pass on. Sometimes you worry about folks who are hungry. Sometimes I'm sure volunteers worry about abuse, elder abuse. All of those things are things that I know anyone working with seniors, who has a heart for seniors, who loves seniors, we are concerned about. How do you sort of debrief? How do you, what do you do to make sure that you can still serve the way that you serve without being so burned out that you say, I just don't know that I can do this anymore? Has that even crossed your mind ever?
I don't think not doing it anymore has never crossed my mind. I just know that even in the days that it's like, okay, it's just tired. I'm tired, but I know I have to make sure I have to do and go on to make sure that they continue. And it never crossed my mind to ever stop. And I always feel that I have to make sure I took care of myself. And that's more important now in realizing with this COVID crisis that we're dealing with on a day, and just to make sure mentally, you're not mentally fatigued. So kind of taking, even though I look at all of our clients, they're never just a number to me. And everybody means something. And it's like those personal stories. There's never a person that doesn't mean something to me. I see the calls come across my desk, or the applications, or whatever, whenever I get to take the calls and actually go out and deliver meals myself, and to see the clients, that's refreshing and invigorating to actually be able to go out and see them, to deliver meals myself.
Yeah.
And so to take care of myself mentally and personally, and just kind of making sure, stepping away with my family, kind of making sure I exercise and keeping myself healthy, whether it's just going for a walk every day, just to kind of have that debrief. I always say, in a perspective now, being that we work remote sometimes, and just taking that mental break and taking a walk, that helps tremendously with realigning and just kind of putting yourself back in a right frame of mind, and just not having any distraction at that point.
I love that you said all of this, because we didn't talk about this ahead of time. Anybody who has done this show before knows that I don't send you questions ahead of time, okay? I'm just like, what you want to talk about today? And everything that you said has aligned with every other show I've had.
Oh, wow.
There's this recurring theme of caring for others, and in order to care for others, caring for ourselves. So I don't know if this is on. Is this thing on? This is what leadership looks like. Thank you so much. Thank you for pointing that out. I really love that. So I'm going to put up the website really quickly.
Okay.
And here's my ask. Okay. Anybody that is watching who is in the Wayne County area, we're in Michigan. It's cold here still, but we're getting there, right? If you have the time, if you have the heart, consider volunteering with volunteers with Meals on Wheels, not Volunteers of America, who's also a wonderful organization. Go check them out too. But consider helping seniors specifically and getting the nutrition they need and getting that socialization that we talked about, Maesha, that is so important. And what'd you say? They can give an hour a week?
An hour a week. I mean, typically, the don't delivery route lasts between about an hour to 2 hours. So, an average route has between 10 to 15 clients on it. We're always looking for volunteer drivers, whether it's in the downriver communities, the communities Northville, Wayne, Westland, Western Wayne County. You can get more information on our website about volunteering. You can apply. If you know somebody that needs help, you can apply for them online. There's a brief application online. Someone from our office will contact them back to let them know what's going on and get them the proper information. Our website, there's an email out there on there. If you have any questions, it comes directly to me. So I will see it. I will address it and answer any questions if you have.
I love that. And I just want you to point out one more time, okay? Because you said something really important, and we probably have folks. Hold on, I'm going to put up a comment in a second and we can address it. I know that we have folks who are probably, again, thinking of, yeah, I've got an hour a week. I've got 2 hours a week. You know what? My kids are back in school now. I can drop my kids off and I can start. They can go to the website. But for those of you who are right now thinking of some folks in your neighborhood who could benefit from this program, this is the same email or the same website you want to go to as well, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So that you can also give that very important information.
Yes. On the
okay,
I'm sorry. It gives the information.
No, go ahead.
On our home delivered program, the congregate meals program, the liquid nutrition program, and that would be the beginning step. If you know a neighbor, you know a grandmother, a friend, or family member that you think would benefit from enrolling in one of those programs, we're always able to help. And I will say, with this program, we're very fortunate. Throughout the pandemic, we have not missed a day of service. We haven't done any, and also have been able to. Anybody that applies for the program, we've been able to provide meals for them. So we haven't had a wait list at all during this pandemic. So we're very fortunate that we're able to provide service to everybody who is eligible when they apply.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that too. And I'm going to put up one last comment because this is a question that I think other folks will want to know. Judy asks, would we have to enter homes at this point? Still a little nervous about that.
No, with the pandemic protocols that we've implemented, we try to do a no contact delivery, a minimal contact delivery. So we ask that the volunteer, they knock our seniors. We want them to make sure that they answer the door. So we never want them to leave the meals on the porch or anything like that. So the senior has to agree to be home when the meals are delivered. The volunteer knocks on the door. We ask that they step back, and if there's a table or something on the door, we ask that they place the meal on the doorstep, and the senior can then grab the box once the volunteer steps back. But we require that the volunteer at least makes visual contact that senior is there. We don't ever want them to say, we drop the meal off, and then next thing you know, 3 days later, the meal is still there and the person is passed out or needed help. So the volunteers, again, are one of the most important contacts when it comes to making sure that senior is safe.
Okay.
But we
that
do
was a really good question.
Enter the homes.
Yeah, that was a really good question, Judy. Thank you so much. So everybody has the website here again. Let me put it up one last time. It's www.waynecounty.com/SVS. Make sure you go there. If you want to volunteer, you go there. If there's a senior in your life, if there's a senior in your community that you think could benefit from these services, Maesha just said there's no waiting list. They've been able to serve everyone who needs it. Remember that we're doing frozen, nutritious meals. We're doing halal meals, fresh baked goodie from time to time, until we get back to that everyday sort of Monday through Friday sort of sharing. So Maesha, you've been such a great
Oh, thank you. I do want
ambassador.
Can I add one thing else that's on the
Please,
website? If they
please do.
want to donate, if they want to make any donations towards our program, there's also a link on the webpage about donations. We are grant funded, so all of everything that we provide is grant funded through funds from the Older Americans Act, through the Senior Alliance, and through additional funds through the county whenever possible. But we rely heavily on client and family donations. So if you are unable to spare time and you wish that you could help the program in any other aspect, there's also the ability to donate on the behalf of a client sponsoring a senior. You can go to the webpage to donate for the program as well.
Thank you so much for pointing that part out. That's important. So, Maesha, I'm gonna in wrapping up here. I always tell everybody, I like to get in your business. And last night, I don't get too deep in your business, okay? But what are you doing for fun right now? Because again, like we've all been stressed, right? Like this is, we're going over a year now that we've been dealing with this pandemic. I know a lot of people who have experienced either the virus themselves, who are experiencing, the virus right now, who have lost loved ones, everything that's going on in the news. There's lots of hate, but there's also lots of love.
Yes.
And so I want to focus on that right now because I can punch some lights out just talking about the hate. And I'm not going to go there today because it's the Lord's Day and I want to get ugly. Okay. But what are you doing for fun? And specifically, are you watching anything that's giving you a little bit of joy?
Oh, right now, me and my daughter are big Marvel fans. So WandaVision and the Falcon and then we're just getting into those again because that's starting back up. But just kind of, I enjoy being outside. So I'm happy that the weather is breaking and actually trying to get back outside. I know prior to this whole pandemic thing, I was a huge shopper. I will not lie. I love to shop. So not being able to go to a mall and not being able to do that has had some issues, but I will find my way to get my shoes on.
I feel you on that. You know what? I have been catching up on my Queen Sugar, which has been very good. I love watching Queen Sugar. But I've also, we like to go outside also. And it's been chilly, but it's starting to change a little bit. And we don't do a lot of things where we are around a lot of people. But the other day we did go out to Great Lakes Crossing and we went to Legoland and the aquarium. And we were the only people there.
Nice.
And it was so nice because it felt like it was just for us. And we took a lot of pictures that I didn't post on social media. Maybe I will one day. But, we have a 15-year-old and a 10-and-a-half-year-old. And so that 15-year-old, to take him to Legoland and take him to the aquarium, it was like, listen, we need to get out.
Yeah.
He enjoyed it. And so I've said this a million times before, like being with my family really re-energizes me and really gives me a lot of joy. So I can't wait till we can be together outdoors.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's one of the huge things. Family, and being able to see my family and being outside with them. And I'm like, I enjoy, being with my niece and my everything. I'm like, can't wait.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to the summer. Thank you, Maesha, so much for being here today. You gave us such really great information. Listen, I hope that some of you folks will go to that website. Just if you missed the website, Google Wayne County Senior Services. And Maesha, thank you so much for all the information you gave us. I know that I'll have you on again. And I know that we're doing some networking in some of the same circles for some of the same causes. So I know I'll see you again soon.
Oh, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a great pleasure.
You're welcome. Everybody else, I'll be here next Sunday. Don't ask me who's going to be here because I don't remember. I might not even have anybody scheduled yet. Maybe it'll be you. We'll see. Everybody have a great week and I'll see you soon.